What's up, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week. Starting over in Marvel, we have Alien versus Captain America issue number 2. Another big, dumb, fun book from Marvel. Marvel seems to be excelling in the big, dumb, fun category. There's a few books like that. This is one of them. We have a Captain America teaming up with Nick Fury, teaming up with like the Howling Commandos. We have Bucky, of course. We're taking on the Xenomorph threat right now. Hydra's doing some secret experiments. They found these eggs. They're experimenting on them. They're understanding how they propagate, right? How do they expand their army with these xenomorphs? That's what they're trying to do here. It doesn't go according to plan. We get some pretty amazing battles between Captain America and the Howling Commandos versus the xenomorphs. Some pretty cool imagery, some things that you might want to see from a series like this. We already had like the shield cutting through some aliens in the previous issue. That expands on that a little bit more. So from a visual point of view, there's a lot of cool things going on, but there's actually some pretty interesting twists and turns that happen at the end. We introduce more characters in the Marvel universe, some more cosmic-based allies, and we're going to be exploring that a little bit. Maybe they know more about these aliens than our Earth-based heroes, and so it's going to be cool to see how the story progresses from that point of view and how they all team up to take on this Hydra xenomorph threat. It's a pretty fun book. Let me know if you're reading it. All right, let's hop over to DC next. We have Batman Second Night Book 2, Dan Jurgens, Perkins, and Spicer on this book. Love the Black Label format. I really enjoyed Batman Second Night, the first volume. This is volume number 2. We have a very inexperienced Batman still. Bruce Wayne's trying to go around his day, trying to live this dual lifestyle. Scarecrow is a main character inside the story, a main villain, so we get to see how he's orchestrating all these crimes and who he's interacting with, who he's trying to mentor as like a villain to wreak havoc across the world, spread fear. And we get a little bit of an origin story of this particular Scarecrow too. So it's really cool to see how he fits into this world and some of the people that he's aligning with, like Hitler, because this is a period piece. Hitler would be interested in these kinds of weapons. And so that's what we see. Man, the artwork in this book is so good, man. Perkins and Spicer, just an amazing duo, doing these like Alex Ross style things, you know. Again, it's a period piece. I think it's set in the late 30s. So we get the really interesting environments, really great costumes and design, and just like, you know, this is Batman in that era. He's limited. He doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have all the gadgets. He's a little bit impractical, but it's fine. You know what I mean? We also have some other heroes joining the fray. If you ever had the question of like, why doesn't Superman help Batman with any of these kinds of threats? We have a little bit of that inside this book, and I'm excited to see what that team up looks like. They don't know each other in the story, and so it's going to be expanding a little bit more, and I am all for that. Just seeing our boy here, our Boy Scout, coming in to help save the day wherever he can. It's a really exciting time to be on this book, just to witness these characters interact and this creative art team getting to collaborate one more time. Whenever they're together, I'm going to be buying this book. It's a really fun series so far. You don't need to read volume number 1 before you jump into here. Having a great time with this one. Let me know if you're reading it. All right, let's keep the Superman train going. We have Kryptonite Spectrum book number 5. Now, it's from the Ice Cream Man team. So, of course, we had W. Maxwell Prince, Morazzo, and O'Halloran. So if you like what you see on Ice Cream Man, if you like the vibe that they give you, the character designs, that Frank Quietly style art, I think you're going to like this one a lot. It deals with a lot of interesting, heady things. So, for instance, in this one, we have a bunch of different new Kryptonites that enter the scene. Superman wants to do a bunch of experiments on them to see what they do to him psychologically, physically. He brings in Batman to help him out. Each issue is a kind of a standalone thing featuring one piece of Kryptonite and how it interacts with him. This is issue number 5, so we kind of go back and re-experiment with a bunch of different ones, sort of reliving the effects that we've seen in the previous issues. Luthor found a way to weaponize those things, so we get to kind of go back and experience those things again, and we end up having this big sickness that we have to get over, that all of our allies have to team up and try to overcome. It's a great issue. As far as a finale goes, I will say it was a little bit lacking, I think, on the finale end of this. All the build-up, the standalone issues leading up to it, I think they were all handled really well. They had a great beginning, middle, and end. The conclusion of this run, a little bit soft in my opinion. I want to know your thoughts though, overall, and especially on issue number 5. It's a great package when you put it all together. Issue 5, a little bit weaker than the rest, I think. It had a good idea of bringing to a conclusion and revisiting and having some callbacks from the previous issues, but the way that we resolved our overall problem I thought was a little bit weak, but it's got a couple different endings to it. I like the ultimate ending of everything. Really great series overall, I still think. Let me know what you guys thought, though, down below. All right, we have a couple DCKO. We have Harley Quinn versus Zatanna issue number 1. I want to make sure it's not Harley Quinn proper. No, they're doing a standalone here. Why did they do Aquaman issue number 12 as a continuation of the Aquaman series, and they put the KO tie-in in that one with Hawkman? That was really interesting. I didn't know what's going on there. Anyways, this battle here, it's okay. First off, I like the Nakayama cover, so that's a pretty awesome thing right there. The overall story, though, these are kind of friends. I mean, Harley is a legacy villain, but she's turned around a little bit in the recent years. So we have two friends essentially going at each other. It's very much in the same formula as all the other DCKO events that we've seen, where they kind of trade off rounds. One person wins round 1, and then the next one wins round 2, and there's this dramatic round 3 at the end. But you know, Zatanna didn't really use any of her powers in here. Now, there was a KO book that came out recently, may have been issue 2 or 3, something like that, where we saw some of the street level heroes be upgraded. They had these different artifacts that they got. Harley has this new special artifact. I'll let you read that issue to figure out what it is. Didn't really use it in here. She's really just using her mallet and just her wit and her, you know, fighting ability in general. There wasn't a whole lot of magic in here. And when there was, it wasn't really used to its full ability and everything. So I think just like from a creative battle point of view, it wasn't that interesting. Cool artwork, though. I like the sketchiness of it. I do like the anime style of it and everything. The character designs are what they are. It was a cool book from that point of view. Lots of dialogue, lots of back and forth, not a whole lot of fighting. But, you know, there was some interesting parts in here. So I would still say that this is a little bit not as interesting on the story perspective. Visually, it was pretty cool. I did like that, but it could have been more creative on the overall story point of view on this one. So Harley Quinn, Zatanna didn't really do it for me. Let me know your thoughts. The next DCKO book was actually from Titans. Again, they're in the Titans run now, issue number 30. So I'm not reading Titans. I don't like Titans necessarily. I don't really care what's going on with those characters. They put it in Titans book because Cyborg is in here. So this is Cyborg versus Swamp Thing. Now, I'm a Swamp Thing stan. I like everything about him. I don't care if it's Alec. I don't really care if it's Levi. It doesn't really matter to me. The idea of Swamp Thing is extremely interesting to me. Cyborg was always kind of a side character, somebody that I respected but didn't really have any interest or enjoyment in. So when I saw this battle coming, I'm like, oh, my boy is going to wipe the floor with this guy. Did not happen inside the issue, and really disappointed in that. I do think that the creators are just trying to do what they can do with the time that they have, the amount of pages that they have, and the characters at their disposal. They really can't tell this epic grand battle. But at the same time, I think we're ignoring a lot of the true potential of these characters. The focus of this one is from Cyborg's point of view, so it's a lot of Titans involved in it in the background, things like that. A third of this book is just seeing what that team is up to and ignoring the battle itself, trying to reintroduce characters that are a little bit newer, I suppose, and seeing what they're up to and trying to push other aspects of the story. Now, the battle itself, again, is from Cyborg's point of view. I mean, they're not really reaching their potential is what I'm trying to get at here. Swamp Thing is a godlike character. He's done dirty inside the book. If you're a Swamp Thing fan, you're going to feel pretty pissed off when you read this story. I think the artwork is not the strongest either. There's a lot of cool things going on, some interesting imagery, but essentially you have a giant cyborg beefed out, man. He's got rockets, he's got sonic cannons, he got flamethrowers and things like that. And that's all he thinks he needs to take on the Green, essentially here. He's practically a godlike character. He does have a couple tricks up his sleeve, but it doesn't really put him on display. We're not really testing his abilities and seeing what his full potential is inside the story. I get it, they need a one and done kind of a thing, but man, it really made me irritated towards the end of this book. So that's me being a Swamp Thing stan, complaining about the outcome of this book, complaining about how it all went down. I don't know, guys. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. All right, guys, let's go over to Dynamite next. We have Space Ghost issue number 6. We have David Pepose on this one, Jonathan Lau doing the artwork. Another great issue of Space Ghost, man. A little bit of a standalone issue right here. We got the team back together after our Kree Skrull war that just happened. And Space Ghost is up against the Vampire King inside the book. There is this vampire plague that's taking over this little sector right here. It's far away from a lot of humanity, but you know how vampires feed. They like to expand. They like to go out there and just take over colonies, and that's the threat that we're having to deal with right here. Space Ghost becomes infected, and the kids have to come together and try to find out creative ways to not only take on the infected people that were already there, but Space Ghost being infected as well, and this king at the same time. A lot of cool ideas inside the book. We have space vampires. What more could you want? And of course, we have Space Ghost, like I said, part of that problem. And so I do like how the kids are so, like resourceful, and they take on the situation head on. And of course, Space Ghost, with like the mental fortitude that he has and the will that he has at his disposal, he can overcome a lot of different things. And so I do like these one and done. We're going to throw these villains in there. We're going to take care of them at the same time. We're going to put them in a place where we don't necessarily kill them, right? They're still going to be around. They're still going to be threats potentially in the future, just not right now. I'm liking this. It has an episodic feel to it, but I'm just digging what I'm reading from Space Ghost right now. A lot of great characters and everything. And yeah, amazing artwork on top of it. You can't ask for more. Space Ghost is amazing. Check it out. Next up is Racer X issue number 5. We have Mark Russell on this one, and this is a really great complementary book to Speed Racer. So if you're reading Speed Racer, you have to be reading Racer X to get the full story. I've said that many times before, but I want to make sure that everyone's getting the full story right here because I really like the two different perspectives. It's very much like we've seen before where we have Racer X playing that big brother role, literally and figuratively in here. Very behind the scenes, very incognito still. We don't have all those details, or the characters don't have access to all those details just yet, but Racer X is really playing that brotherly role behind the scenes, and it's really fun to see him collaborating with Speed Racer to take on any threats on the track. What also is cool is we get a lot of character development for Racer X. We get to see what his backstory is, some of the thoughts and emotions about the family dynamics back when he was with the family and then after his so-called death, and how he's rethinking things at the moment. Can he step out of the shadows? Can he reveal himself? He's worried about his dad who's in the hospital right now. That's what Speed Racer's trying to fix. The father is trying to build up money for that. Racer X is that unknown ally in that same cause. And so it's really cool, again, to see that dynamic. It's cool to see more about his backstory and everything and his inner monologue and everything going on right now in the current day. It's a great complementary piece to Speed Racer. So if you want the full picture, you got to be reading both. Pretty solid issue. I'm really enjoying the art and everything in here too. Really fast, dynamic, and lots of action, obviously, with racing cars and crazy attachments and accessories on those cars, going through the tracks at high speeds. It's a lot of fun to read. Let me know if you're reading it. All right, let's go over to Titan Comics next. We have Conan the Barbarian issue number 27. Jim Zub on this one, of course. Picking up where we left off, where Conan has helped this Mad King essentially win this war. Conan and his team were sent in undercover because they could do what a normal army just couldn't do. Infiltrate, take out the enemy while they're sleeping, whatever it might be, in the shadows, right? And Conan and his team actually helped win this war. The Mad King wants to embrace Conan, bring him into the ranks, wine and dine him, have him introduced to a bunch of other people that are very powerful in the area. They're all trying to do their thing to impress Conan as well. And so Conan's not used to this kind of treatment. It's really fun to see him interacting with all these eccentric characters and, you know, what kinds of offerings they have to just win his favor in general. There is a sorcery kind of an element that's being added into the story. Of course, it's a Conan book. You can see it leading towards potentially maybe the next event that we have in store for Conan, and it leads to like imprisonment of Conan, this betrayal, this uprising of the people who are on his side. And so everyone's tired of the Mad King's antics inside this book, and so we get to see what that uprising looks like after Conan is imprisoned in the issue. But as always, man, Jim Zub and team are doing an amazing job of just keeping this an exciting book. The artwork is always solid. It always puts you in that same mood. The voice never changes. You feel like you're there. It's doing a great job of setting up the next thing kind of quietly, and then all of a sudden, bam, there's the next event, and you're in on it. You know what I mean? They can set off these spin-off stories and then keep the proper book going with some one-off adventures. They're doing a really great job of orchestrating this line, inserting little tiny events here and there, and keeping it with Savage Sword at the same time. I don't know how they're doing it, but it's a spectacular book. Issue number 27's out. Make sure you read it. All right, as always, we have a ton of Image books to get through. We have The Sacrificers issue number 18. What a great read. I had a lot of questions on where this story was going to go. After the previous issue, we essentially wiped out the pantheon of gods. We have Pigeon and Saluna taking over the throne in a way. This is a time jump. We're going to see what happens 30 years later with these characters. What does the world look like when the gods aren't providing that substance to the earth and those sacrificers aren't providing substance back? You know what I mean? How is Saluna taking on the role of the moon and the sun? What is that doing to her physically? And what is Pigeon up to too? We get to see exactly what everyone is going through at the moment. We get a good shot of what the family dynamics looks like, what the impact to the land looks like, and some of the fighting and some of the, disagreements on what the direction is, things like that. They're starting to come out, and we're starting to realize that, hey, when you tear down even a structure like we had previously, you're going to face a lot of the same problems that they did. And that's how corruption sort of builds and everything, right? Like absolute power corrupts absolutely. Don't be so quick to tear down the foundation of everything and think that everything will be okay. We're learning inside this book right here that it's not always that easy. So I love the complex message we have inside the book. I love to see where it's going to be going. One of my favorite books out there. Make sure you're reading it. All right, next up is Everything Dead and Dying issue number 4. Really great zombie book. Now, I've had my concerns that this was going to be too much like The Walking Dead. And there are definitely moments of it where you're like, okay, what else could they have done instead of somewhat mirror some of the early issues of Walking Dead, some of the environments and everything. It's really done a great job of separating itself from that story, keeping that zombie motif, but adding a whole lot of new and unique elements to it. It's done a good job of separating itself from the crowd. I think the most surprising thing that they added inside this book is that these zombies, they are people that were in the town. They're all very familiar to our main character. They're people that he interacted with even since childhood. He's kept them alive by feeding them, and they've went about their routines, right? The wiring in them is still there in a way that they're very routine driven. They're not hungry for brains and flesh, things like that. These new people that have come to town, they don't understand that. They don't respect it. And he's seeing like these people taking out his friends and family, essentially, that are zombies throughout the town. He's having flashbacks of when they first met or some kind of conflict that they were involved with. And now they're just zombies, and the other people don't understand that. So it's a really cool perspective that I haven't seen before in comics in a zombie type situation. I really love the idea of that. So yes, this book is a zombie book, but it has enough unique elements to it and some compelling characters that it does stand above the rest. It's got great artwork too. Phillips is on this book, so it has that newspaper gritty kind of a quality to it. I love the coloring behind everything. So it's a great creative team doing a familiar tone zombie book, but they're adding a ton of uniqueness to it, changing the story a little bit and making you just feel that drama and that uneasiness that you would expect from a zombie book. So I'm having a great time with the story so far. We have issue number 4 out. Let me know if you read it. All right, next up is Power Fantasy issue number 14. Kieran Gillen and Casper Wingard on this one. Sort of a step back issue. We've learned a lot. We've seen a lot in the previous issues. We're going to reevaluate the situation and see where everybody is at the moment. Again, we have a lot of atomics who can destroy the world in the blink of an eye, essentially. We got to keep them at bay, focusing on Eliza in this issue a little bit, focusing on Misumi as well. She is kind of like this kaiju kind of a person. If she loses her stuff, this giant monster will come out of the sea and wipe out everything, basically. We have Eliza, who's the Hellhound. She basically sold her soul. She's got this demonic presence inside of her. She has this voice that kind of kept her in check that's no longer there, so she's slowly losing her mind. And so we get to see what that means and maybe some of the plans we have to keep her down a little bit before she destroys the world. That's a really interesting idea. And we also get to see some of the people that our other atomics were kind of holding back and holding down. We get to see what they could have been. And we also get to see maybe where the series will go. Now that this one person is out, and I'm being vague on purpose, now that this one person is no longer there, there's going to be a lot more atomics popping up or something like that. This kind of gives this series a lot of legs, man. It can go way past issue number 16 now that we can explore this world a little bit more with this presence gone. It's going to be really excited to see what's going on there. Artwork, man, Casper Wingard's doing amazing stuff. Some of the quiet panels inside of here showcasing the different characters really work for me. Of course, then we got these other imagery, the other imagery in here of Eliza just in her hellish kind of a landscape, just absolutely losing her stuff inside of the book. Man, we got a few more months left before issue number 16 comes out. It's going to be bubbling over here very, very soon. I'm all for it. Let me know if you're reading it. All right, we talked about Kieran Gillen over on Power Fantasy. He's also doing Die Loaded. We have issue number 2 out right here. Highly recommend, I've said this 100 times, highly recommend going back and reading the first volume of Die. It's 20 issues long. It's an amazing story. It's RPG based. I had a lot of fun reading it over the past month or so, getting ready for Die Loaded. So issue number 2 is right here. We're focusing so far on a couple members that we had back in volume number 1, which I'm not going to spoil, but also Molly and Sophia. Very important characters inside the story. We are back in the world of Die. How? Why? We don't exactly know just yet. Who's like the Grand Master? What's the ultimate plan? Again, we don't know. We are just being thrown into the mix here with these new characters having a very similar experience, but with some uniqueness here. Very familiar avatars or types of characters, again, utilized in different ways. It's going to be fun to see who the other team members are. We know we left some people behind in the previous issues. It's a whole thing, and I'm loving everything about it. And we're going to be exploring more of that. I just love the idea of being back in this world. It's still a lot of mystery involved here. And I do like that we're bringing back some of the old stuff. We're kind of inventing what we already know about this world, and I am all for it, guys. I'm loving this book. Stephanie Hahn's doing an amazing job on the artwork, as always. There's so many great visuals inside here. Great coloring, great action, just great environments and everything. So from an art point of view, this book has always been amazing to look at and everything. And from a story point of view, it's complex and it's dragging everything we know about Die forward. And we still have a lot of mystery, though, which is a really fun place to be. Issue number 2 is out. Let me know if you read it. All right, next up from Kyle Starks, we have Wrestle Heist issue number 1. Now, if you're into the weeds, if you want to be all about the kayfabe stuff, if you want to know what it's like behind the scenes in wrestling, this might be a book for you. We feature this one guy who's kind of getting a better deal in a different organization. He's not getting paid as much or the respect that he needs. There's some bloodthirsty people in like the management or contracting area where he currently is, and he's on the out. But he's got one more match to go through at the moment. It's like a fake championship kind of a thing. He's probably going to throw the match, things like that. But it doesn't go according to plan. There's some revenge stuff in there, some bad blood between some of these characters that we really explore, and it's kind of heartbreaking in the first half of the book. It doesn't get much better in the second half of the book because we get to see what the end life or the end of like these careers looks like for a lot of these guys, doing some of the convention work, kind of living in the past, and we get to build up a couple more of the characters, and we go on this plan of like, how can we get revenge on these people? That's kind of where we're going inside of here. But I think the charm of this book is the behind the scenes look on the mechanics and everything of the wrestling careers and environments and what some of those deals look like and how that whole thing plays out. You also throw into the mix Kyle Starks and how he does character design and how he does coloring and how he does dialogue. It's a little snarky. It's got some whip to it. So I think it's a great package. If you're into wrestling, you should be reading this book. It's really fun so far. Let me know if you are. Continuing image, we have Kaya issue number 32. This is another glimpse into the future, a little bit of a standalone issue. So we have Kaya teaming up with these pirate kinds of peoples. It's not the first time we've seen them. We haven't seen them in a few issues right now. So it's a jump into the future. We don't have Jin with us. We don't have Razel with us. This is Kaya teaming up with all these new different people, and they are taking on some slave owners inside the issue. But there's a little bit of uneasiness building up in the ranks. They want Kaya to be like a general, to be like their queen or whatever, and she's a little bit reluctant to do that. There's a lot of people inside this area that are kind of fighting for power at this moment. Great visual artwork inside the book, as always. The story does eventually get into the battle of things. It's kind of short-lived, to be honest. There's not a whole lot of pages. It's just kind of, taking a moment and jumping back into the future, trying to give you that there is, it's not all sunshine and rainbows wherever Kaya is at the moment. We do have a little bit of a backup story with Wes Craig and Riley Rosmo doing that interior artwork, and that's really cool. We get to see some concept art in the back of the story too. So I like these little standalone issues that pop up every once in a while, showcasing Kaya in the future state and everything, some of the people she's messing around with. And yeah, Kaya is one of the best books out there right now. Let me know if you're reading it down below. Joshua Williamson and Tom Riley and Jordy Belair on the Dreadnought War, G.I. Joe, part 4 of 5. Really love this series so far. Dreadnought War has been really fun, mainly because we have Cobra teaming up with Duke in the middle of nowhere, taking on the army of Dreadnoks at the same time. That's been a lot of fun to see all of that. We got a lot of other characters in here too, meeting. We have Baroness, and of course we have Destro in here trying to work with some of the U.S. Generals behind the scenes, trying to team up and share Energon and share secrets and be that source of Energon, trying to backstab Cobra in the process. That's been really fun. And of course, we have some of the Joes jumping into action here, trying to help out, Duke and Cobra at the same time. Cobra, man, he is a messed up dude. I really love the Cobra miniseries, so definitely check that out if you haven't yet, because it's kind of the beginning of this entire battle. And, without it, you're going to lose the context of why they're after him to begin with. Some pretty solid coloring and some compositions and just amazing, action inside the book. So if you're into something gnarly, if you want to see these characters just going all out, it's a lot more brutal than I thought it was going to be. Just in general, I'm having a great time with the series so far. It's just a lot of fun. That's what I want in some of these comics. A lot of fun. I'm not getting that in some of the other Energon books. I'm getting it right here in Joe. Let me know if you're reading it. All right, guys, that's what I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know down below what you grabbed and what your favorite books of the week were. Then while you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the comments.